What's poppin'? It's your boy DeejayDadon. We over here at the lounge, man. I'm excited because we're closing out Mental Health Awareness Month, and I got my woes in here. I got the homies in here. So I got Miss Ivanna to the right of me. I got Miss Lisa right in front of me. I got Pat right in front of me. Patrick. I can't try to lower your name. That's Patrick right across from me. So it's gonna be a really good show. On the table, we kind of got a drink called Day and Night. It's a rum. It's like a cream rum drink. With some chocolate powder on top. Like, it's really, really good. And if you're lactose intolerant, you might want to stay away from it. You know what I'm saying? You might be on the toilet. So we talking mental health, man. And, I kind of want to open up with something kind of light. I want to talk about, if it was something that you kind of got teased about as a kid when you was younger in school, what was that thing? I think I'll start off just to give you a little time. All of the stuff I was teased about for the most part was validated because I was always talking, I was loud, and then I couldn't dress at all. At all. Like, I had black friends, they'd be like, bro, what you got on? I got white friends that felt like they could dress better than me. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, yo, bro, like, you dusty, you fried, you talk too much, and that's just what it is. Like, you annoying. And so don't get me wrong, I didn't enjoy any of those digs, but that was something that I kind of was like getting made fun of all the time. I think that when I hit college, I was just like, you know what, I ain't gonna get teased about this. I had to make like an alter ego and start like swagging out on them for the one time. And it's funny because I look back now, none of them fools can dress. Like none of them.
It's crazy when you look back, like all the cool kids in high school, they're like, you look back at them now and they're like not what they were then,
Yeah, and I'm over here like,
I look better than you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I would say I got teased for being like super tall and skinny. And just being kind of nerdy. Like, I just kept to myself most of the time. So
you're still a nerd.
Oh yes, 100%. But I'm cute.
You like, I'm a cool nerd now.
Cute.
She's like, but I'm beautiful now. So
yes, call me a nerd if you want, but I look better than you. So
yes,
I disagree. I'm right here. Look, Look at the camera
you
right
look
there.
pretty good.
Yeah, hello. You better tell your neighbors. Tell your neighbors. What about you, Patrick?
I got teased and bullied most for just being weird. I'm a very quirky person, and kind of like what you said, that got validated.
Yeah.
Later on in life, now that I'm an adult, like people like that, like, oh my gosh, you're so different, and it's just very. I feel like it brings good new ideas and leadership, and just people find it interesting now. But before it was like, you don't fit in. Yeah. You're weird. Go away. And
who wants to be like everybody else?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, when that finally clicked, I was just like, you know what?
I'm gonna embrace this.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Embrace this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lisa.
For me, I think it was pretty superficial stuff as well, like being hairy. I've always been really hairy, and my nose, they would call me Toucan Sam. And I used to be really insecure about my nose. And now,
but it's crazy you say that because it's like I'm gonna have to see like some back in the day or something because ain't nothing wrong with your nose.
Yeah, and so I was really insecure about my nose for the longest, and of course also being flat chested, like how boys are when we're young.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, being hairy. But honestly, like I don't feel insecure about my nose anymore. I used to shave my arms, like my arm hair, and I just embraced my Mexican hairy side, and I don't, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yes,
so
that's a Mexican thing. Like we're hairy and we're proud, okay?
Yeah.
And beautiful.
Yes, we're still looking better than you with our hairiness.
Look,
so
Ivana's on a PSA today. Try her if you want to. Try your mom.
Hey, it's almost my birthday. Sorry, I'm feeling myself.
Yeah, look, how many hours? We about 10 hours away from your birthday, so she's ready to tee up for the one time already.
Birth weekend.
So, in each of everyone's respective fields, we have a school psychologist here. We have, someone who's an influencer here. Same here. What have you ever used your creativity to escape your struggles with mental health?
Oh, definitely. I used to art. I would draw and paint a lot. And I have a lot of those drawings and paintings. Some of them were really kind of dark, but they were honestly beautiful. Mm-hmm. And they're still underneath my bed, I think, at my mom's house.
She still holds on to them?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I would do that a lot, and I don't paint anymore. But I do color hair and do makeup, and I think that's kind of something that I still use as a tool to, escape things.
For sure.
Yes, very artistic, very creative. For me, I like clothes. Like I like styling and taking pictures. So I guess I don't know if that I guess
however
helps.
way that helps you mentally.
I'm not very. I feel like I'm very creative, but I'm not too like artistic. Like I can't draw, I can't paint. Like, but I love to like do my makeup and my hair and like wear really cute stuff.
And how does that help, like as far as like self-confidence and things like that?
Yeah, well, I feel like now I'm like starting to finally like get into it, like find myself, like who I really want to be and who I am, and I think that also like really helps just like with finding your style. Like there's so many trends and they come and go, but like you gotta pick what looks good on your body and like makes you feel good, like you don't have to look like everyone else to feel cute or be cute,
Yeah, for sure.
It's just what you
Works for you.
Yeah, what makes you feel good, and that's what you gotta find, and it helps.
Well, what I used to do, I can't draw either. I stick figures as far as I could go.
Same.
Yeah, I used to do like write some poetry when I was in high school, or I'd like write a story of like, and I would put the characters in my life like the way I'd want things to play out, like that, and just kind of role play things. That's what I like to do. I just kind of like imagining playing out things or acting.
Writing is really good too, like a really good outlet. I like to journal sometimes. I should do better with that, but journaling is good.
Journaling is great.
I need to do more of that as well.
I feel like when I was back home, especially when I was in high school, I used to write a lot of poetry. I was huge in like poetry. And like, we used to go to the poetry lounge like every Monday for soul sessions. So I always wanted to like write something. It was kind of like music, and that kind of got me out. As I got older, I felt like my interest kind of changed because I wasn't being as very like artistic in that kind of avenue. I think now it's just more of the fact of like just building my self-confidence as far as fashion, kind of like Ivanna said, like, I'm always trying to see like, oh, how can I kind of show my best self? How, like, even if I'm just going to the store, I'm going to swag on them for the one time, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting groceries and I look good, what's good.
You never know who you're going to run into.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want people to see me in these streets, like, in the sweatpants with the messed up hair, So, I kind of care. I very much care about my appearance when I'm out like in public, and I kind of feel like I hold myself to a certain standard when I'm out, like, and if I don't have that, I kind of lose my self-confidence of like, oh man, like I just kind of just let myself go today. You know what I'm saying? So that's very important to me. So
yeah, I agree.
Let me see. In adolescence, how did you cope with your mental health journey? Like, did you have a support system? And then how did it affect, like, friendships? So, the first question again, in adolescence, how did you cope with your mental health journey? If you had one. Did anyone here, like, kind of struggle with, like, anxiety, mental health, ADHD?
I definitely have mental. I think we're all just trying to process, like, ooh.
And I can kind of start it off if need, just give you a little time. I went through depression when I was 15. It was just, like, a kind of a lot, growing up. My mom kind of worked late night. I was taking care of my little sister. And it was a lot of high expectations of me because, I would be the first person to graduate. Well, not high school, but like going to college and do my thing in college. And my mom put me through private school. Like, she wasn't accepting no C's. It was just like B's and A's, that's just what it is. And, socially, like, again, I wasn't the swaggiest. I wasn't the most confident, and I was short. And I barely could break 100 pounds. Like, let's get that out there too. So, like, I would go to Golden Corral, eat, come back still 99.9 pounds. It's just wild. Like, so when it was just kind of like a lot overwhelming expectations and social interactions that just kind of kept me in a funk. And how I kind of cope with it again, like, it was just like music, and it was one time where I had went to this, I kind of went down really deep, and I went to this church and they took me to this concert, and they kind of got me into like self-awareness, self-worth, loving yourself. God created you in his image type thing. And, you know, I was like, yo, bro, like I should start a podcast. Like, yo, like this is me at 16. Like I should start a podcast. And we bring all of us in, we do a podcast and we think we're going to get like 1,000. We're going to get Drake to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like he going to come in and do the show. Never had that expectation, you know? But, you know, it was just kind of like a safe place for us to kind of talk. And that was kind of like how I kind of cope with it. I got to kind of hide behind a microphone and just kind of like be myself and not feel like I was in somebody's image or somebody kind of felt some type of way or they knew me from anything. It was just like, you know, I'm DeejayDadon. Like it's just who I am, you know? And so that's kind of how I cope with my mental health. And I think even now, like it's great to just kind of, you know, you never know who you're going to impact when you're in a setting like this, just because you're not only talking to people that grew up with you, you're talking to people that's never seen you before, never interacted with you before. So it's where you can be genuine with them and you can be relatable. And I will never forget when someone came up and was just like, yo, like you seriously have impacted me. And I've listened to, like, we went to this conference and I spoke and it was like, I've listened to like people for the last 2 days and like the way you kind of delivered everything was just like amazing. And I was just like, man, like I'm thinking like, oh, I did terrible or you know,
Always our worst
but
critic.
it was just like that validation of like, you never know who you're going to impact, whether it's 1 or it's 5,000, like you never know who is going to impact and you just want to kind of do God's work and just kind of just impact one person at a time. So it was just like validation at that point. So.
I can go. Mine is pretty similar to that, which is crazy because we come from like different cultures, you would say. And yeah, my parents worked a lot. Kind of had to grow up fast, be the caretaker with my 2 siblings. And there's a lot of pressure that comes with being like the eldest daughter in an immigrant family. And I say I don't really feel like I guess I maybe struggled with like anxiety and like stress just from all the different like responsibilities and expectations from my mom mostly. But where was I? I was talking about my family.
Just like how it, like, you know, the expectations of kind of being the oldest.
Yes, the oldest. But I didn't really get to process all of that till just now. Like now that I'm a grown woman and coming into who I am, I'm like asking myself like, okay, why do I feel like this? Why do I think this way? Whenever I get upset or like something hurts my feelings, I try to ask myself questions and like really dig deep and do the work to figure out like why something is triggering me. Like it feels bad, you know, like you can definitely feel something and like it bothers you all day if you don't really like
figure it out.
Yeah, just sit with the feelings and like the thoughts. And so that's just helped me kind of like go back to my childhood and see like where the problems stem from and just do the healing portion of it. But I don't know. I guess as a kid, I didn't really think about it, you know? Yeah. You don't really know what's going on. You feel it, but you don't know. So
yeah,
that was kind of my experience so far, dealing it with it now. And music is, I think that's how I coped with it as a kid as well. Like, always had my headphones in. I rode the bus to school every day, like to and from. I waited in the bus stop, like for an hour or so, like however long. So I was always having like my headphones in and listening to music. Drake was actually like...
Everybody had a Drake phase, man. You ain't
the
even talk about
it. The Take Care album.
Everybody had a Drake. Like Drake was responsible for a lot of depressed people out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. Well, that's the one that like comes to mind when I think about like just me riding the bus in high school, like listening to music. Really.
Yeah.
A lot of my adolescence was spent trying to learn to like be myself and like allow my personality shine through, because you know my childhood was a lot of traumatic experiences. I won't go into super detail, but essentially, you know, both my parents are veterans and my dad was on the medical side, and you know he had PTSD and he didn't seek out the care he needed, and you know he was taught, you know, kind of just, you know, be strong, you know, this what we tell men, and so he didn't deal with it healthily, and that led him to cope other ways. And then my mom had to kind of like make up for it by working more. And sometimes she would be gone for weeks on business trips because she had to. So it was just me and my younger brother, and I had to be, the strong one. I had to basically take care of both of us because we didn't know when either of our parents might be home. And so I learned in childhood that, I can't be myself. I'm not here. I'm just making sure everything stays together. I had to learn how to come out of that survival. So I had to learn that there are people in the world, like, you deserve to be taken care of too. You deserve to have friends. Your friends want to help you. You're not weak for letting your friends help you. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to hold everything together anymore. And that was a really painful transition. And I'm just really grateful that I had the support system of friends I did who could recognize that I was coming from a place of pain and healing, because, during your journey of healing, sometimes you might lash out at those who are trying to help you because you don't, it's hard to let go of what the pain you've had all that time. And they were super awesome, understanding, loving. So they helped me get through that. And I couldn't really, like you were saying, Ivanna, I couldn't really process that until I became an adult. And then I could I was just in the process at the time. But now I could see the process was. So being able to be vulnerable and
that part.
That's a big one for me.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's a big one for me because I've always felt like I've had to kind of always also, like you said, be the strong one, and it gets exhausting. But it's like whenever you finally are able to bring that shell down, it feels great, and I don't know why I've always felt that I don't know if it's growing up with 3 boys that made me kind of like I gotta be tough all the time,
It is, all brothers do that.
like so I don't know if that's what it was, but I always that's one of the things that I also am working on now to be able to feel everything. And
that's what makes us human. Like,
Sure.
we get those feelings and those like sentiments for a reason. Like, feel them. Like,
and in our culture, it's like,
them.
oh, you're just being lazy. Like, you're like in our culture, like they just like go for a walk. Like, it's deeper than that. Like,
I wish I could go on a walk and come back and feel better.
Right? Like, wouldn't we all do that? Like,
I wish it was that easy. I could just go on a walk and come back like, oh, is depression over?
Put on some music, and it really helps, honestly. Like, just being in nature. I think that's another thing that I found really helps me cope with stuff, because it grounds you. Like, literally being able to like touch the ground or like the dirt and the grass, like that just makes you feel better somehow, because we're humans. Like, we were put on earth to interact with the earth, like we forget about that so much now that everything's on our phones.
We're so disconnected. That's why.
Lisa, where are you and your siblings? Are you the oldest, middle?
So I'm the second child.
Okay. So kind of like it's kind of still relates. So and Patrick, are you the only child or?
No, I have a younger brother, and I also have 2 older brothers, but we weren't raised together, so it was. I had to basically be an older brother. Yeah, it's like it's a weird. Like, I'm the middle, but I'm raised as the older. It's like weird.
So as an older or even kind of the oldest child, it's the expectation that you kind of have to grow up fast. It's the expectation that you have to be strong at all times, and it kind of even affects even currently now, like where I feel like even within my friend group, I'm just like always got to be the strong one. I don't show that vulnerability most of the time. I don't show weakness because there are people that are very vulnerable and they take up all the weakness for everybody else. It's just like I know you guys are kind of been through, like you always get their friends kind of going through something. You feel like you have to be there for them, and then you don't ever feel like you have an opportunity to be vulnerable because they're. So how does that kind of take an effect? If y'all have related to that, like how does that kind of take effect, and how does that affect you now?
I definitely relate to that, especially being like a mental health professional. So it's really hard to shut that off sometimes, and even my friend groups. And it's like sometimes I feel disconnected because I get so wrapped up in like I need to be strong and I need to hold it together for everyone else that I don't leave space. I don't leave space for me. It's not even that they don't leave space for me. I'm not leaving it. And and they genuinely want you to. It makes them feel connected, and they can support you too. But you rob yourself from that when you get stuck in the like, well, I can't open up because they open up, so much.
Yeah, like somebody has to hold it together.
Yeah.
Somebody got to be the glue.
You feel like the caretaker all the
Exactly.
time.
And I take that role. I like to take that role a lot. It's so natural for me because my upbringing, I have to catch myself and go, no, like let them take care of you too.
Yes. Yeah.
You gotta. Yeah, and it's hard when you're used to just being that one person that just holds it together.
I think as my mom, like, my mom did remarry, but for the most part, she was a single parent. So, she seeing her strength and watching her navigate that kind of affected me as well. Because it's like, oh, she's independent. I got to be raised to be independent. You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't show a lot of emotion. I didn't show a lot of emotion. You know what I'm saying? So, like, sometimes upbringing kind of comes into a factor as well of how you interact and how you kind of cope with inconveniences and stuff like that. So
I just had that talk with
and your relationships now too.
Yes. Yeah. I just had that talk or tried to have that talk with my parents actually. And it did not go very well.
You blaming me?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how it got brought up, but basically my sister and I were just talking about our upbringing and how it didn't really help us prepare for like the outside world and like conflict, because whenever we would get in trouble or do something wrong, we would get a whooping, that's how things were solved. And like, I guess that's how you were educated. And that just instilled fear in us, And like now as an adult, I would always, like thinking back, I would always like shut down and like start crying at any moment of like confrontation or like conflict at work or with friends or wherever, And I learned that because I knew as soon as I did something wrong as a kid, I would be getting a whooping from my parents, So we were just kind of talking about that, and I didn't want like an apology, like what's done is done, like can't change the past. I understand like it's all a cycle. That's what they learned from their parents, and I can't really judge them for that. But just wanted to have like an open conversation about it, and my mom just really like shut down and she took it very personally. And my dad was at least more understanding, and he was like, you're right. Like we could have done things better, but it was a cycle. Like that's what we learned from our parents. And unfortunately, like we didn't really have the time to
learn a better way.
Yeah. Like we were so focused on like work or other things, like we just repeated the cycle. So I really appreciated him like taking the time to listen and like not internalize it and like get mad, It was just supposed to be an open conversation, but
yeah, they did what they could with what they knew at the time.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that too, because for a while I was like not necessarily blaming. Well, yeah, I was blaming them, but within myself, not like it's your fault, not like that. But I did have to. They did what they could. Like I said again.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little of both. Like I said this on previous shows, man. Like, and
all we can do, sorry, if I just have to say what I have to, because I forget. Sure. But like if you don't, now I forgot.
There it is.
It'll come back, trust me. Okay. No, like I have to relay back to a previous show, like, I look at where I'm at. I'm 27 right now. If my mom had me at 18, 19 years old, if my mom was so forced to grow up so fast because of a parent, she was gonna make mistakes. Like I would not be able to be a parent at 18, 19 years old, let alone 21, whatever. Like there's a sense of maturity that you are forced to do, and you have to grow rapidly. And I can't blame my mom for the mistakes that she made. But unfortunately, it did shape me for a negative connotation. We have to address that. You have to be open to the conversation. And these are parents, like if you watching this, like you have to address the stuff that you did put the child through at the end of the day, because it did shape them negatively, and you have to be able to have that conversation. Yes, you meant well because you are a parent, but at the end of the day, like it did negatively impact the child, and you have to be able to have that conversation and understand that like it's not only about how you feel about the situation. Yeah. This is how I looked at the situation. You did this, you wanted to do this, but it really did this to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to have that conversation because they don't want to seem like they did something wrong. But it's just like, we only can move forward if we talk about this past, so I can move forward and we can build a relationship. Yeah. And we can build a relationship, because I best believe, like, I'm going to try not to make the same errors when I do have children, but I'm going to make errors. But I do expect my child to come to me like, yo, you handled this wrong. And it impacted me in this way. And we can kind of move forward in that. But if you negate or minimize the trauma, then now this trauma is going to be lingering on for the next 20, 30 years. And you know what I'm saying? So you have to be receptive in that conversation. And, that I think that's the biggest issue with people in our generation right now is like, we can't have those conversations because they feel like, oh, it's an attack. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Like, how you going to talk to me like I'm your parent? Like, yo, bro, like I'm 20 something years old. I can have this conversation with you. Like, we're not, yes, you are my parent, but like, we're trying to build a relationship as friends. Like, when we're younger, they always say, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent type stuff. Now we kind of friends. You know what I'm saying? Because I can kind of talk to you as if we're both adults. I can take you on a drink. We can kind of have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And if we're receptive to that conversation, we can truly make change. But if you're not ready if you saying that you want to make change, this is one of the things that you're going to have to do. So, sorry I did on my soapbox right there. That's something that definitely needs to be said, So I definitely understand that, Ivanna, for sure.
Yeah, it was really sad. I cried a little bit, but I've noticed and just realized, like, I just got to meet her where she's at right now. Like,
it's going to take time.
That's all I can do.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about in the past about music. Music and the effect of social media, mental health. And I think when people are depressed or going through something, they find music that relates to the situation they're going through, which is not very helpful. Like, if you're going through a breakup, most times you're going to play a breakup song. You know what I'm saying? If you're depressed, you're not going to play this uplifting, hoorah type song. You're going to play something that's just like, so cry if you need to. You know what I'm saying? So I can relate it off of myself. When I was in my really dark time, I listened to Kid Cudi. And Kid Cudi was going through his own stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think I listened to him because I knew where he was at and it kind of felt where I was. You know what I'm saying? It was very depressing to kind of listen to Kid Cudi. And so I wore like all black, like leaving the house. Well, I walked to school. I didn't ride the bus. So I walked to school and I'm just like listening to music the whole time, just keeping me in that funk. And then when I got to my senior year in high school, like I kind of sat here and I was just like, I'm keeping myself in this depression, listen to this music. Like, I'm doing it to myself. I'm self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of like listen to gospel rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a huge gospel rap fan. Like, I used to get made fun of it. Like, we go to the basketball court, like, here come gospel rap. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, God like kind of saved my life in this situation. So like, when I listen to gospel rap, it uplifts me. I go to a concert once a year just to kind of like remember where I used to be and where I am now. And so when you are going through kind of situations like that, and although it's very easy to find something that's very relatable, you have to kind of play something that can kind of conflict with what you feel so it can show hope instead of playing something that validates the emotion. You just sit in it for the next 6 to 8 months. You know what I'm saying? So
bask in the negativity.
Yeah. And I'm sure we all can kind of relate in that kind of, situation. And I'm sure you have kids that you kind of talk to that they kind of, I'll definitely talk about music.
Sometimes I do.
So how does that kind of relate to the kids?
Some of them, like you said, will listen to music that relates to their experience. And I don't think that's inherently bad. I mean, especially when in the initial process, like when you're processing something, it can be helpful to like have your experience validated and be seen like there's some understanding of what I'm going through isn't just me having a problem, but like you mentioned, you can't just stay there for like 6 to 8 months, and that's when we need to have a conversation.
Yeah,
but
intervention.
Yeah, but I think it's it's just as important to be able to acknowledge that feeling and sit in it as it's important to not just avoid it completely by going like I'm just going to be positive about everything and pretend nothing happened. So when we have this conversation, we kind of explore like what other music do you like to listen to, and kind of like add some of that in there because you want a little bit of a balance. I mean, I personally, when I'm struggling, I like uplifting music, but I like it to start with like a defeat. Like, it's like
acknowledge the defeat.
Acknowledge, yes, and then show that you can rise through it, bring that hope in.
That's great.
So I'd be curious of what kind of music.
You didn't tell me who is it? Like, who's the artist? Like, you just kind of...
Okay, I listen to all this. I love Katy. I love Katy Perry. Yeah, she's a good one. I like listening to Just Fine by Mary J. Blige. Kelly Clarkson. She has some good uplifting music.
I can imagine you just dancing out to just...
Oh, yes, yep. That's so exactly good. What I do. That's me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What about you guys?
For me, I just think of 2014 Forest Hills.
That album was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like, it's unmatched. I don't think there's an album that can kind of compete sometimes. I'll just be sitting there just like, I can play them like start to finish multiple times over and over again, and I'm not getting tired of 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That's just what it is. And it's hit so many different things.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever I'm relating to, I'm just gonna play it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like his because it's so. I guess it's more. I don't know. He has all types of songs, so some can be like very specific, but most of the time, I feel like he just really talks about just issues that we're all dealing with without like really naming one specific thing, so everyone can relate to it, you know. But that one just really helped me in college. Like I said, that was when I first started dealing with like all my mental stuff. Like I went through a really bad relationship and kind of lost my way, very much so lost myself, and learned how to love myself because I didn't know how to do that, which is why I was expecting so much. I lost a lot of friends at that time, and I was expecting like bare minimum from everyone else because I didn't care enough about myself to like, I guess, up my standards, you know, like whatever
Know
you
what you
accept.
deserve.
Yeah, whatever
You
you
didn't think you
expect
deserved
is what
better.
they're going to give you. Yeah, I didn't think that, I guess. And that one really helped me. And even For Your Eyes, like just any of J. Cole, I feel like I really can just listen to
She's
him.
like a J. Cole stand over here.
Yes,
Yeah.
J.
About
Cole
Jermaine.
and Kendrick. Now that I can really understand Kendrick, because as a kid,
It's crazy. Like Kendrick.
I couldn't make
Genius.
those like connections, you know, because he's just such a poet and
Mhm.
like uses some words that I'm like, okay, what is he saying?
That's a big word, dog.
Yeah, I gotta look it up. I gotta make sure I really understand what he's trying to say with his double entendres and stuff. But
It's crazy.
yeah, music like that just really helps. And now like bad bitch music too, like
Mhm.
She
Britney
goes-
Spears. Like I
Yes.
gotta play my queens to like feel myself and like really feel like I can tackle
That's when she
anything.
throw the glasses
you know?
on.
Yeah.
Millie Flow. Yes,
That's
just
funny.
you got to.
For me, Jessie Reyes. I love Jessie Reyes. She's got some depressing music, but
Yeah,
whenever I'm like going through it, I listen to her a lot.
that's dope. I think when I was growing up, when I got out of my Kid Cudi phase, you know, everybody had like the little semi emo phase, you know. But you know, Wale was the guy like this is before Cole kind of got big. Wale was very poetic.
Yeah.
You know, the album About Nothing kind of got me through a lot of stuff, just because it was very relatable. He made sure he made relatable. I feel like J. Cole and Wale made music for people that ain't had money. We just sitting there like, yo, we regular people, we got bread, but you know what I'm saying, we've been through the trenches together. And another person I like listening to now is like Meek Mill. Now that I'm old enough to understand what Meek Mill be saying, because he just used to just yell, you know, I'm getting all this money, blah blah blah. But like when I sit there and listen to him like in his interludes and everything like that, I'll be like, yo, like this dude actually talking about something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not only stuck on, oh, I get money, I get girls, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, like he actually playing some music. So like, you know, when I don't listen to gospel rap, those are like some artists that I kind of listen to and want to get through. I had a phase where I used to listen to Logic, but then I just kind of think that Logic's corny now.
Yeah,
just-
I went through a phase where I loved Logic
Yeah.
too, but yeah, I don't know.
I think
Not
Logic kinda
anymore.
corny.
That faded quickly.
Yeah, it did. It went
I
like
was
one
listening-
album, and I was like, all right.
I was listening to him on SoundCloud, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
SoundCloud. I haven't been on SoundCloud in forever.
Yeah, it was
There's
a
some
while
hidden
ago.
Gems. I go every now and then, but you can find some really cool stuff like mixes and stuff that people do.
Yeah, I need to get on there. Then. I need to get some
Yeah.
underground. I just think that like I always put the conversation like, oh, I'm a SoundCloud rapper. I'm like, oh no, I'm cool, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody on SoundCloud. I ain't got to-
Yeah.
You can find some really cool stuff. though.
No, you can.
Yeah.
I forget about SoundCloud, but yeah.
No, LimeWire. That's what I'm talking about. When
yeah,
I was
I
getting,
remember
LimeWire. Boy. You ever had somebody like you ever like made somebody or had somebody make you a CD off of a LimeWire? You be like, yeah, bro, I made you a CD,
Man.
and it's like all these Chris Brown songs. Like,
Yes.
Had to have them.
Yeah.
Had to.
So I'm not gonna speculate or assume. You know, did anybody have like really dark moments where they was thinking about like suicide or kind of like taking their own life type stuff? I don't want to like kind of project before we talk into it. While you kind of think about it, when I was my senior year, I kind of thought about taking my own life, and I think that like this was when my life completely shifted. I was looking up way like the fastest way to take my life type stuff. Like I was always Googling stuff, you know, and I was home alone. Like it was just me and my sister, so we was home alone. So I had a lot of time to think about it, like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I thought about the different processes and kind of exercise some of those things sometimes. And I knew I couldn't swim, so I feel like that was the fastest. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Boy.
still cannot swim to this day. But you know,
And you're like, let's go swimming.
yeah. No, we had like this little river. We had this river right behind our, like right around the corner from our house. So like my dad like made me hot one day. Like he said some wild stuff. I'm not gonna kind of say what he said, but like he said some wild stuff where I felt like I had to like it was just like over. Like it was just a done, you know. So I walked to that river and I was about to like pretty much like jump into that river. And right when I'm about to jump, my mom and my stepdad pulls up, like just pull up the car and they just like, you know, took me to that church I told y'all about. And after that kind of like just went from there. But I felt like in that moment, God was just saying like how much it was worth for me to be on this earth, and I wouldn't be able to use my testimony and use like my voice to what it is today if I thought I wasn't worth that. And so it's kind of like, even if you haven't even been in that situation, like when you had your mental health journey, what kind of clicked for you to be like, yo, I can battle through this. I'm more than what people kind of said out for me, because like a lot of people's words, especially when you're younger, they hold a lot of weight. Like still to this day, I'm 27 years old and I'll get on Facebook and I look at somebody's face and I'm like, bro, I genuinely hate that person. Like from the thing, like, cause what they say, like people don't think that when you're younger, the words that you kind of say to people won't hold weight. But like I've heard stories of people going to like their 20-year school, you know, anniversaries or graduate anniversary. And they be like, yo, like, I hated that person. 20 years later, they'd be like, dog, like you, and the person's like, bro, this is 20 years ago. I'm like, bro, it's still holding weight. Yeah, but it's like, it's still hold weight because that's the last interaction I had from you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be people,
last memory of...
it'd be people trying to be like, hey man, like I want to support you. I'm like, bro, I don't want to get nowhere near you. You know, like, so I don't know if you guys kind of had like something that kind of clicked for y'all to be like, yo, I just want to move forward, you know, keep pushing. Or if you even tell your kids, like, what do you tell them to keep pushing when they're in a situation?
I don't usually tell them what it is. Usually people need to find. I'm just there to help them find what will push them forward. You know, because what they need is different from what I need, and so you know, I know there's like a stereotype of like psychologists, like you know, they're supposed to give you advice, supposed to tell you what to do, but really, our job is to just be there with you on your journey. We're good at helping like guide you in the direction you're already trying to go. You know, we don't make decisions for you. And for me, what helped me through my mental journey, I can't say I've necessarily struggled with like contemplating suicide per se, but I have had several times in my life where it's just not existing, or if the idea of dying just seems like it just might be better that way. It might be. And you know what's got me through those times is, you know, I think about what I've been through before, and like, you know, I got through that, and that was, you know, basically hell, and I can get through this. Yeah. And I think about, you know, all the things I'm doing for others, like, you know, like our life has value. Like we may not see the value it has to others, but it does. And you know, it's like you mentioned, like if you had successfully jumped off the bridge, if your parents hadn't stopped you, if you hadn't seen that there's value in your life, then you wouldn't get to live to see today, or how your voice reaches other people. You wouldn't have had that experience where someone told you how you touched them during your talk. And I bet everyone here has had experiences where it's like, I didn't know I had this meaning. I didn't know I was reaching this person. And so, you know, just really being able to see that
people care,
absolutely,
even though you think you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think people don't.
That's a good call out, because we say that and we think about it, but I feel like it's very important to. Oh, thank you. I moved it. It's important to tell people whenever they are being like extra nice, or they make you feel good, or even just that you love them. You know, like just say thank you and make it known. Like give them their flowers for what they mean to you and who they are in your life. But we were talking about
when did it click?
For me, it was two specific experiences. One was with a person that I was dating, and they were yelling at me, like going off when I at a time that I was just really trying to help. Like they were going through stuff and I was just there to listen, and they took whatever was going on with them and like turned it into a me problem. Like, you're selfish, you're not listening, you're
gaslighting.
not. Yeah. And I kind of had like an out of body experience. I remember it very vividly, where I just saw myself getting yelled at in my house, like trying to be nice, like put myself out there, like, And I was like, you're the one in control. Like, it's literally your house. You're the one that decided to be trying to help and like listen to them with their problems. And it's up to you. Like, you can literally go tell this person like, hey, you got to go. Like, you don't have to sit here any longer and like listen to this. Like, it doesn't bring you any happiness. It makes you feel bad about yourself. You cry. Like, gotta cut this off. So after that, and then the next one was when I reached out to my mom saying I was depressed because I graduated college 2019 and like.
Boy, I'm old, man. Like, Jesus.
I'm older than all of you.
How old are you?
Oh, this is being recorded. 29.
So you graduated in 11.
You don't look
Yes, I did.
29. You look good.
Thank you. I need
25.
I need that reassurance. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
You look
You
good.
got great skin, man.
Yes. But yeah, I graduated college and I didn't get my big girl job till this year. So I was just going through a lot of struggles, and like I said, being the eldest daughter of my family, like it came with a lot of pressure, even though I'm the only one that went to college. And so where was I? Rambling. Yeah, graduated. Didn't get my job till this year, so just going through a lot of shit, lots of stress. And I reached out to my mom in 2020, like right during the pandemic, and I was like, hey, like I'm really depressed. I'm feeling like really down. Just kind of like pouring my heart out there for her, you know, to like read. And she basically told me that I was lazy and that I needed to get it together and that I was never going to amount to anything, blah, blah, blah. Like, just...
That's crazy.
Yeah, totally the opposite from what I was expecting. Yeah. So that
He's
just...
like, if I knew I was going to get that, I would not have called.
Right?
I would not have called your
You
phone.
mean to tell me I just poured my heart out and this is what
This is
you
the
were...
response?
Like, man. So after that just pushed me to like...
How did that... Okay, like when she said that, what was the immediate reaction to her
bawling?
Saying yeah, and was it like, oh, like I feel like I can't tell her anything?
Yeah, like she's not listening to me.
Yeah,
she doesn't believe in me. Like she just said that depression doesn't exist and that it's all up to me and I'm lazy. And if I really wanted a job, I would have had it by now, basically.
And
like,
it's hard when you hear
during
something.
the pandemic, when there ain't no jobs.
Man.
It's so hard hearing that from somebody that you feel like you need and are supposed to have that support from.
Yeah.
And it hits you harder because, like, damn, if I'm feeling this way and my mother can't be there for me, it just like brings like a whole different, like a different emotion. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry you
Yeah.
have to go through that. That's terrible.
Yeah, it was sad, but it pushed me. I was like, okay, bet. My mom doesn't care about me. It's all up to me now. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, it just really pushed me, and I now believe in myself because I was so caught up in like meeting her needs and her expectations and like what she wanted from me, my life, and just kind of like everyone else, right? What you see in social media, like what you're expected to do or be or where you're expected to be at by a certain age, like all of that just kind of flew out the window. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? Like, what makes me happy? Like, what do I need to do to get to where I want to be? Like, and just lay out like the ground plan and everything. And that's when we moved to Boston, and I had to get out of the city and like truly just be alone with my thoughts and
focus.
Yeah, to like get what I wanted. And I got a job and I love it. Like I can work from home. Like it's so like
Aren't you blessed?
So if anything, that was fuel for you to kill it.
Yeah, it's been always at my
And that's how
lowest
it should be.
moments.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you can't let those people, you know, you got to show them
Mhm.
because we all have it within us. We just got to execute.
And
Yes.
I will say, just to put that out there, you know, your mom does love you. I think she loves you for sure. It's just more the fact of like people, like especially tougher parents, man. Like tougher parents just can't turn it off. Like that's just the issue. Like they can't turn it off. It's just like they got to keep being tough. Like we not adults. Like we adults. Like we can handle our own situations. And I think I appreciate my mentor because my mentor will come up to me and I'm ready to vent. Like I'm ready to lay it on. He's like, before you start, Are you looking for advice? Or are you looking for me to listen? You know what I'm saying?
I do that with my friends.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like I'm already like sometimes he's already ready for that, so he has to stop himself. Like, you looking for advice? You want me to listen? Because I can listen and just put myself on mute. You know what I'm saying? But if you are looking for advice, I need to be ready. And I think that some people kind of need to pick up on that habit because sometimes people are not looking for advice. They're not looking for your
Yeah.
opinion because sometimes we may feel like you ain't been through the same situation as us, but there's like a listening ear impacts a lot because sometimes we're running to you because we feel like we can't go anywhere else and we don't want to feel judged in the struggles that we're having. We're already at our lowest point. Like especially the strong ones. If we came up to you, it means we are desperate, like just to get it out.
Literally.
So we don't need any extra stuff that we already know. We already been through the situation of getting each other advice and everything like that. Just listen to what we got to say so we can move forward and I can drop this weight and move on with my life. I don't need help. And,
yeah.
So.
I just needed her to say I love you and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. That could have been a 3-second conversation right
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, when someone just lets you, like, vent, you find your own solution right there. Like, you just talk
Just
it
by
out. You're like,
talking
you know
about
what?
it.
Actually, I could do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But, if they don't allow you the space to even just process how you're feeling, you don't get to get there. And then you don't feel heard.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a chance for me to segue because Ivanna said something about like how much she loves her job and stuff. It's so fantastic and loving it.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking. No. So, everybody's had a terrible job. Everybody's had a job that just kind of negatively impacted their mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like they be trying you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was at the job where me and Ivanna met. You know what I'm saying? I was at a job that, through the pandemic, tested trials and tested my self-worth, tested my qualifications, tested everything I was supposed to, I feel like I learned. And I feel like a conversation about jobs should have, like, we need to have a conversation about that because of the fact that, like, I feel like the lack of leadership in
Jesus
these jobs.
Christ.
Or, like, are y'all hiring people off the street, like, legitly, like, to these leadership roles? Like, there is no training in some of these leadership that, like, you expect. So it's the top down, right? If the owner, the VP, the regional, whatever the case may be, is spitting out disrespect and hate, how do you expect the manager to do, to
His
uplift their
employees.
staff?
Yeah.
And then how do you expect the staff to take all of that? You know what I'm saying? And especially during this pandemic, like, man, like, everybody was depressed. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure theirs were well paid during the pandemic.
Still, there's a high demand for
Everything.
Yeah,
all of it.
People are booked. Like therapists are
virtual
booked.
therapists.
Yeah. I don't even think they do it in person anymore.
I have
virtual
so
now.
many clients that have literally like pivoted completely to just virtual therapy and made it a whole business.
Yeah, for real. They make their own hours. They just be like, all right, I'm taking a little 3-hour break. I see you.
Just a few clients a day, and
Yeah, exactly. But the conversation needs to be had that, like, if you're a person of leadership, and even the people that are just employees within this thing, like, we spend 90% of our day at this place. You know what I'm saying? And there has to be a level of respect and an amount of appreciation for someone to spend their time there. And we are a rebellious generation at that. You can talk to us crazy. Our resume is from that door to this door. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to be blatantly disrespectful, we will quit. And we're not our grandparents. We ain't gonna stay here for 30 years. You get about 3-4 years at the most. You know what I'm saying? And if it could be a good 3 years or it could be a bad 3 years, which one you gonna pick? You know what I'm saying? But it needs to be a level of respect. Like, the labor laws have greatly, like, improved in some avenues. And it's just like, if you need me to do something, you need to figure out, like, what I was kind of blessed. I kind of get to develop my leadership style at that restaurant. But I had to, like, start asking people, how do you want to be coached? How do you want your feedback to be? Because sometimes I'm very straightforward. I'm just what it is, you know what I'm saying? But some people can take that. But there's some people I kind of got to be like, oh, it's okay, Ivanna.
That's how I want to be talked to.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to ask. And you keep that in your side pocket of, like, yo, I can talk to little Timmy, like, I'm a football coach, and I can talk to Ivanna, like, yo, I have to be like, hey, like, this is my goal. This is what I want you to do. How do I get you to do that? Because some of the people, especially in this generation, cannot take that direct feedback and take it as it's like feedback. They take it as criticism and disrespect. And if there's so much of that, then you're not building a safe work environment. Like, it's not, I don't want to go to work. and it feels like I don't want my job to feel like a job.
Yeah.
I want it to feel, I'm there 90% of the day. Like I better enjoy 90% of my day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so if I'm going home and I'm hot, my wife got to get all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going, these mother lovers have the nerve to talk to me and blah, blah, blah. And I come home with an attitude. Now my wife get that for the next 3 hours
now
until we go to bed.
100% of your day.
Now it's not like, now my home is not peace. It's not my safe
Not
haven.
100% of your day is negative.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, and I don't know if you guys can kind of relate, but like, you know, I eventually had to leave said job. You know what I'm saying? It was a big weight off on my shoulder. That took 3 weeks off of work. I was gone. Like I was just like, I need to go. I went to Nashville. Then I went back home, and it was just like a different outlook of not having a job. I was like, I'm unemployed for 3 weeks. I'm not. I don't. You know?
Honestly, whenever you called me, whenever we were supposed to do the podcast that first time, remember I told you that I am officially a full-time business owner. Yeah. I literally did the same thing, and it felt like such a weight lifted off your shoulders. And I work for myself now. Well, I had been working for myself, but it just feels a lot more rewarding. I get to set my own vibe, you know, like my own hours, and it just feels all in all more rewarding. Not having to deal with the toxicity and like the lack of leadership is honestly insane, because like if you keep your employees happy, then like you have a good environment.
People want to stay.
Yes.
Take care of them, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Well, I always
Pretty
tell them, I
much.
said 90%, well, not even, that's a high, but like, for the most part, the majority of people leave jobs because of lack of leadership. It ain't got nothing to do with money. I can make $12 an hour, but if I love my job, I'm about to be there every day. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, it can have the minimal amount of benefits, but if I know I'm going into work to have a positive vibe, it's cool. If I have a terrible leader, I always remember a bad boss. I will never forget a bad boss, because I know when I become a manager, I don't want to be that person. And you don't want to fall in line to that. Not saying that I'm perfect as a leader at all. Like I fall short sometimes, but at the end of the day, I hold a lot of weight to that. Like I don't want to be hated by all. You know what I'm saying? Like some
and the
people
fact that you're able to admit and know that you're not perfect and that you can work on things, you know,
a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah,
That makes you a better leader.
Yes.
I feel like some like, I won't even say some managers, but I feel like myself, like I feel like I await the pressure of like needing to get what I want, but I also be like, I don't want to be disrespectful. And sometimes you don't know who you're talking to. So it's just like, or
and
like,
you don't know what people are going through.
Everyone's
so, like,
going through something.
One day Timmy could take the football coach style, but you know, maybe the next day he can't, because maybe he got yelled at or somebody passed. You just don't know, you know?
Exactly.
So you just...
And it's trial and error. Like you do, like if you do work for somebody, you do have to understand, like, you don't know what they're hearing. You don't know what they've been going through as far as like the manager go through stuff too. We ain't just out here living this, you know, safe haven life. You know what I'm saying? But we literally, sometimes it's more of the aspect of like, we just got depleted because of somebody else's fault or something like that. And then we come down to y'all and be like, well, I just got yelled at, so y'all getting yelled at too. All y'all getting yelled at. You know, everybody going night night. Like,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, everybody go night night.
Yeah, it trickles down.
Yeah.
If the boss is mad and he treats the people under him bad, then they're gonna be mad and do the same thing. Like, it's all about the environment, like who you talk to and work with every day. Like,
And I think that's why also there's so many young entrepreneurs these days.
yes,
as
everyone I know has quit their jobs and is working for themselves, or is at least trying to get there.
Yeah, especially after the pandemic, for sure. Like they had a lot of time to think about it.
mode.
They were just like, yo, what I got to do to make a quick dollar, and how can I make it sustainable? You know, so yeah.
For me personally, that was the case. I worked in the hospitality business too, like for a while. So I was a server and a bartender, but yeah, it's very toxic. Like managers are just so mean. Like they have no respect for their employees and then expect no.
I was just playing.
The ones that I dealt with at least.
I know
But yeah, it would ruin your entire day. Like I hated going to work, but I knew I needed to pay bills, so I had to be there.
Yeah.
And I have resting bitch face, so you're gonna see my resting bitch face at work. I'm there. I have that face on too, but I'm there and I'm doing my job. I would always get like called out by all of my female managers for having that face all the time. But you can't talk about my work ethic though. Like
Yeah.
all you can talk about is my face, and yeah, I do need to work on it, I guess. But
I guess.
I was
If
doing
you
my
say
job.
so.
I was doing my job.
Well, it's
You
good she
can't-
work from home now. Can't nobody tell.
Yes, exactly. It's perfect now. Nobody messes with me. I can have my
Be
resting
on,
bitch
the,
face
be on
on.
the Zoom call on the camera off. Like,
Yes, that's literally me. Especially if they're recording the meeting. Oh, you don't need to see
nah,
my
you don't
face.
need to see me.
It's
I
all
ain't got time to
good.
put no
You
makeup on.
Yes,
Nah.
exactly.
I couldn't work at those jobs. Like I think that it's a blessing that people work from home, but I can't sit still, so I cannot sit in the
Yeah,
meetings
it's not for
hours
everyone.
on hours. I will fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, "Yo, you there?" Nope, I'm asleep. My camera broke. Actually, unfortunately, my camera broke, so I can't even put my camera on. My computer broke down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not working today. I'm off. You know what I'm saying?
Is it off?
I saw it is.
No, we're still going. We're gonna close.
Okay.
I saw this meme, or not, it wasn't a meme, but it was like a video on Twitter where like it was like a 20 people Zoom, and like they were like, it was like every person was going like taking turns talking about like their productivity, right? And like so it would get to that one person, and then he'd like glitch, and then sort of like because his computer was like
Broke.
and then the next guy would start explaining like blah blah blah, talking, and then he would like and like all of them were doing it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's
That
so
is
funny.
hilarious.
Oh man.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad we got to kind of close out on a positive note. If there's one thing that you can kind of tell somebody that's kind of going through their mental health journey, what is something that you would kind of tell them as a word of advice as we close?
Definitely don't give up. You're not alone. Definitely lean on the support that you have. And try to develop healthy coping mechanisms. Exercise,
Yeah.
read,
Definitely
meditation.
Yes. Anything you consume, whether it's like reading, listening
Move your
to,
body. Make sure you're moving your
eating.
body.
Yes. Go out there, get some sun, be in nature, listen to music that makes you feel good, whatever that might be for
That
you.
Mary J. Blige.
Yes. Spend time with the people that you love. Like talk about real stuff. Like whoever you can actually have those conversations with that won't yell at you. But yeah, I think that's what's helped me the most. Like gain confidence in myself and just be able to cope through everything that I was taught that maybe I want to get rid of now. Like
Pretty much had
being
to
around your friends, talking to them
relearn.
about it. That's really who's helped me, my friends, my chosen family. And I'm eternally grateful. So
honestly same.
You shouldn't have to earn love. You're worthy of love just for being you. You know, you don't have to prove to anyone why you deserve it. And if people are trying to make you earn it, then
They gotta
deserve
go.
it.
then they don't deserve yours. Yeah.
Yes.
They don't
To
deserve
the
your
left, to
energy.
the left.
There we go. Come on, Beyonce.
Nah, man, my word of advice, man, is just, you know, man, just be unapologetically you, bro. Like, you don't owe anybody an explanation for what you, like, who you are and what you do. Like, God made you in one way. Like, why are you explaining to somebody else
Yes.
your intentions? Like, you know your heart, you know how you, like, and as long as you continue to kind of grow and mature, like, you're going to continue to be great. If you feel like you are trying too hard, to be in a circle, if you're trying too hard to be at a job, bro, respectfully, they can leave. Like, your life can be as peaceful as you make it out to be.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's no point of forcing any type of interaction. And you know, yeah, bro, you worth to be here. You worthy. Like, you know,
Yes.
God loves you, we love you, and you know, that's what it is. But you know, that's the end of the show. Like and subscribe our page, The Outsiders Movement, like that on Instagram at The Outsiders Movement. Y'all can shout out y'all tags. It's at DeejayDadon_. That's mine. You know what I'm saying?
Lisa Leo 7.
Oh, Ivanna Gonzalez.
Instagram at Patrick SG.
We got to
If
spill
you
yours
want,
out.
if you want,
We'll add it in the link.
Yeah, we can add it on below.
Yeah, below.
But yeah, it's all love. We'll see y'all
Thank
next
you.
week. All right, y'all.